You ever seen a carbon steel skillet like that? Of course you haven't. That's perfectly rendered by this man right here. This is Ryan Sandin, the proprietor of Stagecoach Forge, man. Thanks for having us over here.
Nice to see you again, Scott. Thanks for coming.
Your products just get better and better, and your processes, I'm anxious to see what you've added here. But first of all, how long have you been making knives that beautiful?
Well, it's a work in progress, and let's see, I started making the knives about 3 years ago. Wow. I promised myself I would never make a knife until I decided that, well, I do make kitchenware, and so I can make a kitchen knife, and then I got hooked.
Yeah, knives are an infection.
Yeah, it's addicting. So
let's look around this shop. I want to see more of this.
Yep.
So one of the most remarkable aspects is you started blacksmithing 6 years ago?
Correct.
When you started blacksmithing, you had all of the structural welding certifications and aluminum and TIG of all varieties and MIG and stick and all of that. So you were a welder,
yep,
fully qualified.
25 years in the welding and fabricating world before blacksmith.
And you had nailed things together, and your hammer arm knew kind of what to do, and you decided, I'm going to be a blacksmith,
Yep.
and I'm going to make it pay. That's the uncommon thing.
Yeah.
All right. And what has been key to making your niche, kitchenware, pay?
So having a small product that I can ship online and marketing it via Instagram. And
did you hear that?
That was it. That was really the trick. Was I did attempt making barn door hardware first, and then realized it was too big and too specialized.
Too hard to ship, and every house is different.
And so I really thought about it more, and I realized I needed a smaller product that I could put in a box and ship it all around the country, so that my market was all around the country.
World. So there's real wisdom in that. If you're a blacksmith or want to be a blacksmith, pay attention to this guy, because he's the unicorn. He's the white buffalo that wanted to, had the ability to, and has done it. So what he's going to do right now is show us how he presses a wok that simultaneously machined and organic. It's got these beautiful evidences of handwork and the regularity that comes from manufacturing. It's awesome. Show us how you do this, will you?
All right. Yeah, it works pretty good. One more final go around to true it all up.
Is that warm to the touch? Nope.
Nope.
Cold. Look at this. Look at that. Ah.
So this is a traditional round bottom wok, and I'll go ahead and turn it into what we call a Western wok, which just has a flat spot on the bottom, and that way you can actually rest it on your stove top.
Wow.
Without having to have a base underneath it.
I love that ripple. Okay,
Yeah.
I love that ripple.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's
it shows
very
the
cool.
Tool marks.
Yeah, I love that so much.
I'm sure there's a more scientific way to do it, but a lot of things with blacksmithing, as you know, are just a good eye.
Measure it by eye, cut it with a hot cut, and hammer
I'll
it
show
till
you
it
what I
fits,
do.
buddy.
I get it really close till it touches, and then I come down here and adjust it until it looks level.
In a
with
plane.
this. Looks pretty good from my house.
Seems to be, huh? Wow. It'll fry rice. Just like that.
Yep. So now we got what I call the Western wok. And sometimes if this is not perfectly centered, afterwards I can tell there's always like maybe one high side and one low side.
Yeah.
And I'll just find the center of the low side and I'll put the handle, the main handle there, and then I'll put the helper handle on the opposite side.
Yeah, and it
so
presents nice, yeah.
Yeah, and then it actually kind of works out with the design. So
Cool.
yeah, that's the wok.
Beautiful.
Fire in the hole. just a taper. I'll do that 3 times. There we go. There it is. Yep.
Well, Ryan, that was awesome. I mean, a lot of these blacksmithing processes are really familiar to me, but you've gone deep into some things that are not even part of my shop, and I love to watch you do them. And what I like is the repeatability aspect. I mean, it's got all of the, it's got all the ambiance of handwork, because it is handwork, and yet it's got the similarity that comes from a manufacturing approach to handwork. So, a couple of questions. What do you like best about doing this? And then we'll talk about how you ended up here a little bit. What do you like best about the process of making these things and taking them to the world?
So for me, it's the satisfaction knowing that these are kitchen tools that are going to be used in someone's home every single day, most likely. These are the items that you come to for maybe 3 meals a day to cook on. And I love how the cooking tools tie together with food, because we have a small farm here, and we are passionate about, we have been self-sustaining on meat and raising our own animals, and we have a big garden. And so we're really into food, and I love how the food ties together with the cookware in that way, and it just kind of, it brings full circle. So it's just, I'm a big believer that if I'm going to do something for the rest of my life, I need to love it. And so I fully love making the cookware, and love how it ties together with the food in such a
it's
way.
terrific. And the whole element of the craft. I mean, coming from welding and fabrication to the grandfather process of welding and fabrication, there's satisfaction, right?
Yeah, it was the natural progression, because I'd honestly gotten pretty bored with welding. I've been doing it for 25 years. I worked in all kinds of industrial factories. And I always kind of looked at the blacksmithing as like this cool thing that maybe someday I'll get into. And which indeed, that was what brought me to buy an anvil, was I thought I was going to start up a new hobby. And
then COVID hit.
And then COVID hit, and I was actually working on building a house at the time for a friend of mine. And that work got cut off, and the lockdown happened, and so I had to figure out a new business in a hurry, and that's what got my brain thinking about making a small product. And I started looking at the anvil as like, what can I do with that guy and utilize
tool.
all of my metalworking skills.
So let me jump in here. We hear stories all the time about the loss associated with COVID and lockdown, but this is an example of an artistic and commercial and crafting outlet that maybe would have never happened for you without COVID.
It really turned out to be more of a blessing, to be honest, because it pushed me in this direction that, I'm not gonna lie, I mean, it's way better than what I was doing before.
It's way better. I think Paul wasn't kidding when he said that all things work together for good. I mean, things can work together for good.
Yeah,
so how cool is that? I mean, you can make these that they look the same, and yet they look the difference of handwork. I'm going to set this one down. We don't want to mark that one up because you've seasoned this. You put this a high temperature oil, a grapeseed oil.
Yeah, so you want to use a high smoke point oil, which we use either coconut oil or grapeseed oil, because they have a smoke point of about 500 degrees. And so basically, this is unseasoned, and we will clean it up and we'll coat it with the coconut oil, and then we'll put it in the oven upside down at 500 degrees for an hour. And what that does is it actually bakes down the oil, and it embeds the polymer into the pores of the steel on a microscopic scale, and it creates a really glassy, smooth, naturally non-stick surface.
No microplastics in that.
No microplastics. So yeah, we're big on trying to get people away from their non-stick skillets and going back to the good old-fashioned carbon steel. Carbon steel is tested, tried and true for hundreds and hundreds of years, and it's still what most professional chefs use in their kitchen on a day-to-day basis because of the performance of how they heat up and they retain heat really well.
Heat quick, retain heat, even heat.
Even heat. They function similar to cast iron, but they kind of have some benefits over cast iron to where you get quite a bit smoother nonstick surface. They're much more lightweight than cast iron, and they're not brittle. So if you drop this on the ground, it's not going to crack, where some cast iron can crack.
And it doesn't scratch a glass cooktop.
It doesn't scratch a glass cooktop, and it's magnetic, so you can use it on an induction cooktop.
Gosh.
And then, one thing that I do that sets us apart from the rest of the carbon steel pan makers, because there's quite a few of other pan makers out there who are doing really good work as well. But none of them are doing stainless steel handles that I know of. So I do the stainless steel handles because it's the least conductive of all the metals. And you can cook your eggs on your stovetop and never need an oven mitt because the stainless handle doesn't heat up. So.
And now, speaking as a blacksmith, let me tell you what, for those of you who have never forged anything, stainless steel does not like to yield. You get it hot, you hit it hard, it doesn't like to move. It's a tough, it's an amazing metal.
Yeah, I mean, I've had to learn how to work with it. It's you got to keep it hot and work faster than you do with mild steel. So it's definitely less forgiving.
All right, but you have one item here that this is not steel at all, is it?
Nope.
Tell us about that jewel.
So this is space age grade 5 titanium, which is basically
just that blade.
Yeah, just the blade part is. And this is my design. I do have this part water jet cut out.
Sure,
And
thanks
then-
for the transparency.
you
That's
know,
great.
So that's why it looks so clean. But it's my design. I get them water jet cut out, and then I forge a stainless steel handle for it and attach it with some rivets. The benefit of the grade 5 titanium is it's super thin and it's heat treated, so it's really flexible and springy, and so it just springs right back.
Wow.
And
It's light.
It's
That
so
is
light. It's really, really lightweight, so it's just really ergonomic and comfortable. I make them to where they balance perfectly on the pinch point.
Yeah.
So they're just really comfortable to use, and
You're proud of this, aren't you?
I'm pretty proud of the spatula. Yeah, this is our top selling item. This was the very first thing that I set out to make. I figured it was a good beginner project to start out with when I started blacksmithing.
was.
I was like, I was kind of tired of like the crappy thrift store, plastic spatulas and stuff that everyone uses. And actually, they've just put out some like studies that they're trying to encourage people to get rid of their black plastic spatulas because you got those little microplastics peeling off of the edge the whole time, and that's getting into your food, and you're ingesting that stuff, and it's just
you're making me
unhealthy,
nervous. Yeah.
And the carbon steel, even the seasoning does not get damaged by using the metal spatula in them. So it's totally fine to use with your cast iron or your carbon steel skillet. And it just performs really, really well. So I'm super happy with the new spatula.
All right,
design.
now, as we wrap this up, I mean, we got objects of beauty here, but you don't often see anything as beautiful as that. So it took you a while to be able to make a kitchen knife, integral bolster, that beautiful shape, and those mosaic. Is that the mosaic Damascus?
Yeah, it's a mosaic. It's a low-layer mosaic.
Thin, light, what's that, maybe 90 thousandths right there, down to 20 thousandths right there or something.
Yeah, I try to make them super thin.
And the taper's gorgeous.
Thank you.
It's a gorgeous taper. So I've made a little Damascus. This is hard to do. I've never made anything as cool as that. So where do you want to go with your knives?
So the knives are kind of like, for me, more of the actual artistic side of it. This is more like a manufactured product that now that I have the process down, I'm planning on hiring somebody to help me to come in and just to produce these pans.
Sure.
And that's going to give me more of an opportunity to do more product development, more of the marketing, which we need to always be increasing the marketing. But for me, doing more of the knives. And really,
that's an art aspect.
to me, I've just realized that the knives are just, it is an art, and it's a functional art, which I really appreciate.
Yeah.
And it's something that I can always experiment with new patterns, new designs and shapes, and it'll just never get old. And
So Damascus is a limitless rabbit hole, isn't it?
yes, it really is. And I mean, there's just some amazing knife makers out there who are just doing such great work, and I get a lot of inspiration from them. And I just, it's really relaxing. And like one knife could take me sometimes up to 2 weeks.
Sure, yeah.
To make, because you have to forge the billet.
Just saying, let's drill down on that.
Right.
Can you relate to the fact that a skilled man can work for 2 weeks to make a knife?
Yeah.
It's astounding.
And I mean, it's not like I'm working 40 hours a
No.
day on it or anything, but like, I'll work on it for a little bit, put it away. The heat treat process,
Wait.
the waiting, and then mostly like the hand sanding part. I mean, I come out of that with a sore neck and just like, tunnel vision. And it's like, I can only do 2 at a time. And even that's kind of pushing it.
Go back, yeah, that's right.
So like if I'm doing the same process over and over, I could not mass produce these. These are just not something that you can mass produce.
No. So let me just tell these guys, 6 years ago, he got an anvil. 6 years.
Yeah.
It is an uncommon story to be able to begin to make things like this in 6 years, and them to have developed this process inside of that 6 years, and to learn big enough chunks of this ancient craft to be able to turn things out to this level. Ryan, I salute you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Man, I hope you don't wear out on this. I hope that you can continue to do these good things, right?
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, part of that for me is, one thing I've realized with this business is it does have the potential to turn into a much bigger beast. And for me to hire a bunch of people and to create a lot more revenue. But I've kind of promised myself that I really want to keep it small so that I don't get burned out on it, because what I truly enjoy is the actual making of the cookware. And I don't necessarily want to be just like a manager of people and a business with all this high pressure to sell all this amount and to keep people's salaries paid and stuff. So I've kind of had to like figure out that's what I'm in the process of figuring out is where is that happy medium? Because I do need help. I can't. It's also not something that I've gotten to the point to where I can't just do it all on my own anymore.
You can't do it all on your own.
And so I do need to have a small team and hire a few people to help me out, but I don't ever want it to get too big. So.
Yeah, so the cliche of a starving artist is real.
Yeah.
And you are an artist.
Yes.
Okay, you are an artist,
Yes.
and artists tend to starve.
Yes.
But you also are bringing a business acumen that I think will keep you
Right.
well fed. Buddy.
Yeah, I've
you haven't missed a lot of meals.
No. I've found a pretty good niche, and I was pleasantly surprised that I was able to actually turn it into a legitimate business. And we don't make a ton of money, but the profit margin is pretty good for what we do. Yeah. I mean, a lot of it has to do with my steadfastness around like keeping the overhead low,
And you're efficient in here now.
Yeah, we're pretty efficient in here. I don't have any debt, so none of the tools have any,
Did you hear that?
There's no debt.
That's the first. That's the first smart thing you can do for yourself, right?
Right. Just buying tools one piece at a time. In order to make a big push, I spent about 80 grand right in the beginning. I had a tiny house on wheels that I was renting out on Airbnb during COVID, and that also got shut down. So I had two sources of income, and they both got shut down. And so I had to take the tiny house that I had built. I sold that for $80,000. And then I went on a spending spree and I bought the power hammer, the fly press, the hydraulic press, and a whole bunch of the smaller tooling.
That's scary.
It was scary.
It's burning the boats, baby.
It was a big jump, especially with having zero experience as a blacksmith.
You were betting on your ability to learn to do this.
Yeah, I was really betting on it.
And Jessie was right there with you?
Oh yeah, 100%. I owe it to my wife. I mean, she works so hard. She works just as hard as I do, and I mean, I couldn't do it without her. She's in there. She does all the shipping. She keeps the website up to date.
All the admin stuff.
She does all the admin stuff. She does like a weekly email with recipe and keeps the marketing aspect of it going. And she encourages me to keep making this cookware and gives me the freedom to do that. So it's a pretty amazing.
That may be the biggest takeaway.
Yeah.
Your wife is your best partner.
Oh yeah.
Your best partner.
Oh yeah.
And you have to be her best partner, right? Otherwise you got chaos.
And she really had to have some faith in me when I was like, honey,
absolutely.
Is it okay if we sell this tiny house and dump all of it into tools in the shop?
And she went, okay.
No, she didn't even doubt it. She was like, she completely 100% backed me up. I mean, there's definitely, of course, been times when I've been like a little bit wanting to buy some more tools that maybe we didn't need or something. She said,
come on, really? Really?
I mean, I think every wife that has a tool-based husband, it's their job to really like kind of, are you sure you need that tool?
Yeah. So anyway, I hope this has been half as inspiring for you as it is for me. I've been able to come up here now, I don't know, this is maybe the 10th time I've been in your shop.
Yeah.
And every time there's progress, and every time there's something for me to learn, and in this particular instance, maybe there's some things here for you to learn. Check out Stagecoach Forge. Farm and Forge?
Stagecoach Farm and Forge on Instagram, but our website is stagecoachforge.com.
Stagecoachforge.com.
Yep.
Maybe you ought to have one of these beautiful things in your kitchen.
We'd love to send you one.
Thanks for watching Essential Craftsman.
Thank you.
And keep up the good work.
Appreciate it, Scott.